blossom, let it flow. In the sun.
In our yard, I have my dad's ficus tree that's probably, I should say, it's in a container in our yard. It's probably about 25 years old. And so after my dad passed away and we sold his house, I kept the ficus tree that I grew up with in my adult years. And now it's still there, and it's very root bound. It's a big ficus, and so we have to find a place in our garden somewhere. We're running out of place, but I want it to still thrive because it's interesting how trees can really be literally another extension of your family tree.
Yes, and symbolic and great for rituals and, wedding ceremonies, anything. It's a really nice thing to honor somebody.
Yeah, and I remember when I would drive by my childhood home that was after we moved out, years ago.
You're talking about Lucky Chucky, aren't you?
Lucky Chucky.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Cindy Dole and Eric Strom are here. This is Home Wizards. Thanks for hanging out with us, where we'd love to help you improve your home and improve your life. And trees, I think, are a big part of it. And I would always drive by my house growing up and still look to see if that old fig tree and if that old rubber tree were still there, because the rubber tree was huge. And it became such a great shade for the house. It really prevented us from having to turn on the AC as much in the summer. And I think that the roots were so big and that the base of the tree was just, it was becoming unsafe, I think, for the structure of the house, that the next guy that moved in had to chop it down. But it's sad because you want a tree to live forever, and then all of a sudden that becomes a symbol and a hope that those family members are living forever, and it's a nice souvenir or extension.
What's the favorite tree that you have on the property now?
Oh, I don't know. I love all kinds of trees. I'm really fond of our pepper tree that we have in our front yard. They're so graceful and kind of willow looking, draping down, and they're drought tolerant. I love that. And I love the jacarandas with the purple
those
flowers.
are with the blue flowers, And what's great about them, too, is they provide shade, and it really can dramatically affect the way that your house handles heat and cold. So these canopies can block the sun and make your house more efficient.
And because they are such a great energy efficiency item, a lot of cities are encouraging people to plant trees.
That's right.
Giving
what's
them
the
away.
one? Million Trees LA, right?
MillionTreesLA.org is one of the websites. If you live in Los Angeles, you can get 7 trees free. You go to the website, and we have the link on our site at yourhomewizards.com right there, right on the homepage. But you get the trees, and then now not only are you doing something fun in the garden, but you're getting some shade.
Have you seen the list, too? There's probably 150 different types of trees you can get.
So how do you know what kind of tree is best for you? Since September really is a good time. I mean, this has been kind of a hot week, but September is a good time to start thinking about and planting trees. And the reason is that you want to get them in, and then they kind of get settled before the weather starts to change, and then they're ready for the next season. But there's really 4 essentials to think about before you even plant a tree. And I'm talking about getting a tree in a container from the nursery, right? Mm-hmm. Before you even do that, you have to first ask yourself, what do you want out of the tree? Right? Like in your yard, what do you want from a tree? Do you want privacy?
Me, it's shade, and I love the flowers, fragrant trees.
Fragrance.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So then you kind of need to do your homework and find out, okay, do you want all that? Do you mind if the trees leaves fall off? I mean, all the trees lose some leaves, but do you like deciduous trees where they go completely bare and they look just like, sticks? Do you mind that? I mean, sometimes you mentioned flowering. Mm-hmm. The bonus of having a flowering tree is that, it uses its energy and loses the leaves to then save the juice to produce the flower. Mm-hmm. Do you mind that? Do you mind that it has nothing on the tree for a while?
There's something about the jacaranda when the leaves fall. It's beautiful on the lawn. The contrast of the flowers with the green and the blue together. So that I don't mind. But some of the flowering stuff gets to be to where it stains the concrete, and it's kind of a pain.
Especially some of the fruit trees.
I guess you have to ask
berries.
yourself: are you into the maintenance of it? Mm-hmm. If you're doing all your own gardening, it might take extra time, but if you've got folks coming to help you out, maybe it's not so bad.
So step 1 is, what do you want from the tree? Right. Figure out what is your deal. Right. And then, and also another thing, if you want to be able to eat what is grown on the tree. You want fruit trees, that kind of thing. Or what do you want?
Have you had much luck with the fruit trees in your own home? The squirrels keep getting my apricots. I want to go crazy right now. I know you can do the net around the tree to prevent that, but for some reason, boy, they're just getting everything.
I don't have apricot trees, but we have a lot of citrus.
I had exactly one apricot last time. That was
wow.
And the squirrels are meanwhile they're
really
just
fat.
obese, just flopping around my yard.
They got these big chompy cheeks, and they're going, "Hi, Eric, we really love you." We're back for another,
That's right.
soup plantation.
What gives? Where's the chicken?
So after you figured out what you want from your tree, you need to figure out what you can give the tree, and that means what kind of sunlight do you have?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to figure out how many hours of sun. What is it? Full sun, part sun, shade.
Right.
You know,
Will it be obscured by the house when it's trying to get started? All those you have to take into consideration, don't you?
You do. And a lot of times people don't take that into consideration. And then when you don't, then a lot of times in the tree, especially when it's a younger tree, it's not going to survive.
Right.
Another important thing to think about is how much room do you have for the tree? A lot of people go out and they're all excited about getting a tree, but they don't think. I mean, you've seen those ficuses all around the city of Los Angeles on the sidewalks. And look at what it's done to the sidewalk because that root, boom, it just kind of busts that baby
Right.
like it's something out of Jurassic Park.
Right. And then, most of the nurseries, too, when you're buying the trees, will tell you the canopy size ultimately. So you want to know where you're going to plant it and then make sure that it's not going to grow over to the neighbor's yard because then you guys are going to always have to share tree trimming costs or not. And you'll get into a huge fight and the tree will create problems.
Or they might just, nip it on their own.
Or they'll take all your fruit like
They
my neighbor
might.
does.
Well, it might be a shared thing. Maybe that's one way to kind of keep peace, right?
Right.
We'll share the fruit. But yeah, I think a lot of times people have a driveway and they plant this tree. So right now by our front yard, we have a pepper tree. But what we did was we created a barrier deep enough. So I think it's going to help prevent the roots from then uprooting our driveway.
Yeah.
But that's something to think about. Like, does the tree have enough growing potential? Because just like your kids, pretty soon they're going to be in college.
That's right. And come back for it. Well, so you're saying the tree will come back and ask for money?
And ask you to do laundry.
I see.
It wants you to take care of it. So those are the very first things out of the gate. And as you're also dreaming about a tree, I found this great link that's tied to the Arbor Day Foundation. And again, we have that on our website, yourhomewizards.com. But it basically is a tree guide that tells you how to choose a tree. And they even have a book on Name That Tree. A lot of times I like to take a walk and I look at what the neighbors have. I mean, I think that's a great way to dream, whether it's paint or design or anything. See what everyone else has and how it's working for them and if you want it, right? Yeah. And you can take a picture of it, but then look at that picture. What on earth is that tree? Is that a jacaranda? I don't know. And then this book can help you name it.
Great. That's like, what is it, the Sunset Garden?
The Sunset,
yes,
yeah,
those
the
are so
Bible.
helpful. They really tell you what climate works for the tree that you want to buy. And it's important to do some research, obviously, as you're saying.
So after you do get your container tree, let's say that you've chosen the tree that you think is ideal for you, and maybe you've gotten the 7 freebies from the city that you live in. How do you begin the process, right? After you figure out where you'd like to have it, you want it in your backyard, your front yard, wherever it is, how are you going to get it out of the container? Have you ever tried to get a tree out of those little black containers?
Yeah, I have a tip for you.
What's your tip?
Well, you can either hit the bottom of the container with your hand hard or a shovel, and it dislodges the root ball from the container itself. Or you can cut with a utility knife those plastic containers on 2 sides and they'll peel off pretty easy. You can be a little rough with it because they will come off ultimately, but it is kind of challenging to get them off. Also, I really want to mention too, when you're handling large house plants even or trees, you really do want to warm your back up a little bit before you lift them off the truck or out of your car. Just do a quick little stretch, back and forward, just like you were about to do a workout, because I've seen a lot of injuries occur trying to move trees because they're a bit awkward when you're trying to move them.
Mm-hmm. It is kind of a workout, isn't it?
It really is.
And the one thing you don't want to do is just use the trunk of the tree and just kind of yank the tree around from the trunk.
Yeah, you do want to hold the bottom. You want to hold the bottom of the pot and the trunk together. That's a great way to move them around. Yeah.
So how big of a hole? That's one of the big questions you have to figure out too. And the rule, I guess, is usually 2 to 3 times the size of the width of that container.
Exactly.
Right? The big problem, I think, mistake that a lot of people make is they dig too deep of a hole and then they bury it too low in the dirt.
Right.
Have you found that to be?
Yes, I have. And then the root ball's too low and
it suffocates.
That's no good. The other thing too is before you dig, it's important to wet the area with a hose to get that earth nice and soft because it's so challenging to dig really dry, hard soil.
Or kind of till it, kind of,
Exactly. Give yourself maybe 15, 20 minutes of watering that area, let it soak in, and then you'll find it much easier to use your shovel to start digging.
Yeah. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some techniques to get that tree in the ground. While you're using that tool, have you heard about making an X on the bottom of the root ball?
No. What's that about?
Well, we'll tell you in just a second.
Okay,
because basically, a lot of times when you buy these little mini trees, little lemon trees, the root is so tightly wound that it's now not going to have a chance to be free and really, spread its roots and grow. Who are you anyway?
I'm Eric Stromer.
And I'm Cindy Dole. You're listening to Home Wizards, where we like to help you improve your home, improve your life. And we're talking trees and some great ideas and solutions to bring some trees to your yard. September's the time. We're back after this here on KFWB News Talk 980.
Beneath the lemon tree, my love and I did lie. A girl so sweet.